Today, we're tackling a subject that has sparked debates, controversies, and a whole lot of confusion: climate change. But not just any discussion on climate change. This is based on the fascinating book, Climate Change: The Facts, 2017, edited by Jennifer Marohasy, which brings together a collection of perspectives from some of the most prominent climate skeptics around the world. Climate change is a topic that has become so sensitive that it's often avoided in casual conversations. While some passionately advocate for immediate action, others approach the subject with a healthy dose of skepticism. One of the fundamental perspectives shared by many contributors in the book is the concept of natural climate cycles. Ian Plimer, one of Australia's most renowned geologists, argues that climate change is not a new phenomenon. It has been occurring for millions of years, long before humans even existed. He emphasizes that there is no extraordinary evidence to suggest that modern climate change is any different from past variations. The rates of temperature change, sea level rise, and biota turnover are comparable to those of the past. Dr. Nicola Scafetta from the University of Napoli Federico II further explains that natural cycles, driven by variations in solar luminosity and even the gravitational effects of the moon, can significantly influence climate. Ken Ring, a long-range weather forecaster, adds that the moon's orbit around the Earth can impact local weather patterns, which collectively contribute to climate. The book also delves into the physics of carbon dioxide, challenging the mainstream narrative that current temperatures are extraordinary. Many university professors, often quoted as part of the alleged 97% consensus on climate change, claim that a doubling of atmospheric carbon dioxide would lead to catastrophic temperature increases. However, the contributors to this book argue that these claims are based on speculative calculations and computer simulation models that lack a solid experimental foundation in radiative physics. Professor Svante Arrhenius, a chemist who first proposed the idea of CO2-induced warming in 1896, made his calculations before the advent of modern high-resolution spectroscopy. Measurements from spectroscopy suggest that the climate's sensitivity to CO2 has been grossly overestimated, and these overestimations persist in the models used by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, today. The book also addresses the issue of ocean acidification, often referred to as global warming's evil twin. Dr. Peter Ridd from James Cook University criticizes the way science is funded and reported, suggesting that inconvenient facts are often ignored in favor of popular theories. He argues that the focus on the Great Barrier Reef as a symbol of environmental disaster is misplaced, as corals have developed remarkable mechanisms to adapt to changing temperatures. For instance, corals can select different species of symbionts to adapt to prevailing conditions, making them more resilient to bleaching events. This ability to shuffle symbionts means that corals that bleach in one year can recover and become less susceptible to similar high temperatures in subsequent years. Dr. Craig Idso from the Center for the Study of Carbon Dioxide and Global Change emphasizes the positive effects of rising CO2 levels on plant productivity. He highlights the significant improvements in agricultural crop yields over recent decades, attributing these gains to the powerful and positive effect of increased atmospheric CO2. Dr. Matt Ridley, a science journalist and member of the UK House of Lords, argues that global warming is doing more good than harm, particularly through the greening of the planet. Dr. Bjørn Lomborg from the Copenhagen Business School explains that adhering to the Paris Accord will be very expensive, while having little impact on the global climate. Simon Breheny from the Institute of Public Affairs emphasizes the need for critical thinking and the introduction of alternative ideas into the climate debate. He points out that some in academia are attempting to extend the criminal law to punish those who challenge the so-called scientific consensus on climate change. This notion of a consensus is more aligned with modern politics than traditional science, which thrives on skepticism and debate. The book also delves into the Great Barrier Reef, a subject that has captured the public's imagination. Despite claims of imminent peril, the contributors argue that the reef is remarkably resilient. They highlight that coral bleaching is not a new phenomenon, and that corals have adapted to periods of high temperatures in the past. The book suggests that the focus on the Great Barrier Reef as a symbol of climate change disaster is more about capturing attention than scientific accuracy. It criticizes the media for sensationalizing the issue, and scientists for sometimes allowing emotional attachments to cloud their judgment. One of the most critical points raised in the book is the lack of quality assurance in science, particularly in the context of policy science. The authors argue that the current peer review process is inadequate and that there is a need for a more rigorous and systematic audit of scientific research, especially when it comes to issues as significant as the Great Barrier Reef. In conclusion, Climate Change, The Facts 2017, challenges the mainstream narrative and encourages readers to think critically about the complexities of climate change. It reminds us that the Great Barrier Reef, while beautiful and fragile, is also a testament to the resilience of nature. The book leaves us with a call to action, not just to address climate change, but to do so with a deeper understanding of the science and a commitment to open and honest debate. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Climate Change, The Facts 2017. I hope this episode has sparked your curiosity and encouraged you to think more deeply about the issues at hand. Until next time, keep learning, questioning, and seeking the truth. Visit BrightLearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.